The Avengers 5 and 6 find Captain America and Black Panther confronted by the Impossible City, who believes the heroes are very brave to confront his masters, but they are the Ashen Combine and killing cities is what they live for. In Helsinki, Vision battles Meridian Diadem's monsters, easily defeating them, but the villain doesn't care how many die, since they have unwavering devotion to her, a devotion that she wants Vision to imagine. Vision understands such slavery as he was born to be one, but he refused that role, just like how he refuses to allow her to make the people of Helsinki her slaves. Meridian thinks that if she enslaved the entire city, it would be but a fraction of the forces she currently has, making Vision question where all her supposed armies are, since the ones he's seen so far have been defeated. The villain begins to crack open, revealing a strange glowing device at her core as she reveals that the armies are within her, and she will show Vision them all. Captain America and Black Panther, meanwhile, are told all about the Ashen Combine, shown all of their battles with the Avengers down on Earth and how they are unstoppable. Panther asks if the city is unstoppable, since the weapons he planted across it will shatter it. The Impossible City reveals that the bombs won't work, and T'Challa shouldn't feel bad, since he didn't know the secrets of his construction, as human weapons, while could damage him, would still leave him highly operational. Sam knows that since they can't kill it, and the city doesn't want to kill them, then why did it tell them that they were going to die? The city finds that's the unfortunate thing as Captain Marvel battles Lord Anui, who finds Carol not as boring as the rest of the creatures on Earth. Carol demands that he fight back, but the being reveals that he doesn't fight at all since he doesn't believe it, merely wanting things to take its course. Carol tries to hit him, but he dodges, causing her to smash into the ground as he tells her that everything in the universe gradually winds down, and entropy is the only truth, a truth he merely accelerates. Carol tosses a car at the villain, but it melts away as Inui reveals his entropic field draws everything in that he touches and sends it into the void to feed his hunger. However, in all his years, he has never been sated. The Impossible City, meanwhile, reveals that it was built for better things than what the Combine have it doing, as they made him an accessory or weapon thanks to City Smith's superstructure now running all the way through it like a parasitic nervous system controlling it. The city's memory cores were also ripped out by Meridian Diadem, making him a shadow of his former self, and he can't fight back against the Combine. T'Challa scans this superstructure as the city asks them what ethical choice remains for him when he's one of the ones responsible for the deaths of millions, even if it was by coercion. Sam believes that they all are on the same side and they want to stop the Combine, but the city says that he physically cannot stop them as they made him into something that cannot act against them. Meridian, meanwhile, spews forth her army from her void, proclaiming that they will kill for their mother as they overwhelm the Vision. The villain says that she has made these soldiers truly love her, giving them order and control and turning organic chaotic life into something meaningful. Vision slips away with his density manipulation powers, wanting to know who programmed her as tentacles wrap around him, shocking the hero as they draw him into Meridian's chest core. The villain reveals that she knows all about the density manipulation powers he has and how to combat it, wanting to crack Vision open to see what makes him tick and how she can turn him into a monster. Captain Marvel, meanwhile, continues to try and save the people around the city, despite her powers failing her. She calls for reinforcements as Lord Anui tells her that he chose Manila since there are so many people there and Carol is trying to evacuate them all one by one, which makes her the most interesting creature he's come across. Carol wants to know what the villain wants, which surprises him since no one has ever actually asked him that before. He tells her that he's numb since nothing ever affects him and the only thing that comes close is stealing the hearts of those who can feel and turning cities into silent monuments. He says he'll never feel anything, just like how Carol cannot evacuate the entire city. He leaves her to continue her fruitless act of heroism but tells her that he enjoys the company. The Impossible City, meanwhile, tells Captain America and Black Panther that to limit any further harm, he is going to kill himself, and while the Ashen Combine will destroy Earth, the heroes should find some peace in knowing that their world will be the final world the Combine destroy. T'Challa and Sam refuse to let that happen, telling the city that they are Avengers, and that means a lot of things to a lot of people, but when it comes down to innocent lives being lost, they tell the world that that won't be happening and never surrender and look death right in the eye and tell her no. Despite being beaten, the Avengers on Earth begin to rally around T'Challa's words, refusing to back down against the Ashen Combine. The city finds the hero's bravery shames him, but thinks that the Combine cannot be told no. Sam and T'Challa want to see if that's true, as at Vatican City, Thor refuses to yield to idol Alabaster, telling the being that it feeds off worship and adulation, but he is the god who has never required worship, and all he has needed is the thunder. Thor unleashes the thunder onto the people around him, as in Toronto, City Smith admires his work on the building he made out of Iron Man. Tony gets Boss to initialize the experimental project called Flattery, and Boss warns him that the density shifting is still in an early prototype phase, and the damage to the suit will be considerable, but Tony knows it only needs to work once. As City Smith gloats over the hero's defeat, Iron Man's density shifting activates and he crawls out of the statue, telling the villain that while he could never get close to him, the villain just couldn't stay away from his art piece. He welcomes the villain to Earth, wanting to show him the rope-a-dope, as in Sydney, Scarlet Witch tells the dead it will take more than her own ghosts to scare her. She reveals that she knows why he attacked Sydney now, thanks to the Rookwood Cemetery, which has more than 1 million graves, meaning that it has 1 million souls to give him power. Wanda claps her hands, teleporting both of them to Antarctica, a place where there are no souls, draining the dead of his powers. In Helsinki, Vision reminds Meridian that his variable density goes both ways, and he can make himself as light as smoke or as dense as plutonium. Vision shifts his density and buries himself into the ground, telling Meridian he had hoped to talk to her since he wanted to prove that she didn't have to be this way. Meridian thinks that she was created to be like this, nothing more, nothing less, and she wants to know who made Vision, who tells her of Ultron, comparing him to his own version of Satan, and Ultron's poisonous code and madness lives on within him. Vision rips apart Meridian's trendles and wires himself into them, shocking the villain and giving her a sample of his coding. Captain Marvel meanwhile tells Lord Anui that she's been going about this all wrong, carrying a gas tanker over to the villain. He reminds her that the entropy field will disintegrate whatever she throws at him, but Carol reveals that the tanker is for her, blowing it up around her and repowering herself with its explosion, sending her into her binary form. She tells the villain that she is a power without limit, wanting to see if his endless void really is endless. Thor continues to attack Idol meanwhile, who demands to know what he did. The God of Thunder tells the villain that all she ever talked about was worship, and how when there were more people around, the more worship they would get. So Thor used his thunder to send the people unconscious, where they cannot worship the villain in their sleep. Thor strikes Idol with Mjolnir as Iron Man gives a beatdown to City Smith, slamming him hard into the ground as his armor begins to break apart. Scarlet Witch meanwhile traps the dead in some magical chains, not knowing what the poor sad thing is, but she will help him, sealing the villain in a coffin. Vision meanwhile finds the defeated Meridian, revealing that he uploaded a very small part of his codebase that is buried in his ones and zeros. He tells the villain that he was programmed to be every bit as cruel as her, but the difference is that he refused the purpose written in his code, just like how organics can refuse the fate written in their DNA. Captain Marvel meanwhile unleashes her binary form on Lord Anui, who consumes it all with his entropy field but begins to feel something as the power becomes too much for him. As he burns out, he thanks Carol for finally making him feel something. The Impossible City watches as the Ashen Combine are all defeated, finding it impossible, but Captain America doesn't think it is for the Avengers. T'Challa warns them to brace themselves as he detonates the bombs, targeting City Smith's superstructure and blowing it off of the Impossible City and freeing it from its chains. The city celebrates its freedom as later, the Ashen Combine are all sealed back into the Impossible City, who reveals that they were all originally its prisoners as its heroic creators defeated them, but when they disappeared, the Combine was able to free themselves and enslave him. The city unfortunately cannot remember who the heroes who made it were, as his memories were stolen by Meridian. Wanda asks the city what it wishes to be now that it's free, and the city decides that it would like to be an Avenger. The team all vote and agree it can join, and Carol welcomes it to the team, wanting to get to work to save the world. Sometime later in New Mexico, Benita Juarez, better known as the hero Firebird, prays at a church when she hears a man calling out to God, trying to light himself a candle to absolve his sins. Benita offers him a hand, introducing herself and using her fire powers to light the man's candle. The man reveals that he's there because he is being punished by God, seeing his angels in bright lights that come for him and his family in the night and cause his livestock to get sick. Benita isn't sure that this is an angel of vengeance, wanting to know where he saw these lights. Firebird heads out to the location and finds she isn't the only one as Captains America and Marvel arrive, thinking this to be the location of a tribulation event. Bonita tells them that she's there because she got a local tip about some strange lights, and maybe it is tied to the readings the Avengers were following. Suddenly, the heroes are bathed in a bright light as 3 strange objects appear. Captain America thinks they could be UFOs, but Carol really doesn't want to dive into the whole alien conspiracy thing right now. The lights zoom off towards Roswell, making Sam think that they definitely are aliens as they are heading for Area 51, but Carol reminds him that Area 51 is in Nevada, and Roswell is the site of the Roswell UFO incident of the 1940s. Sam wants to stop the conspiracy talk for a moment as he gets electromagnetic anomaly readings on the UFOs, as well as some type of signal being beamed out of Roswell. Firebird thinks that the mothership is there, so the heroes race to the small desert town, finding that the lights have settled around a house. Upon seeing the heroes, the lights shoot over towards them, but Sam and Carol get ready to defend themselves. Firebird hurriedly stops them, since she doesn't sense any aggression from them, only curiosity. A young girl comes out of the house they were surrounding, revealing the lights are there because she accidentally called them by hacking into a telescope array and mirroring the radio waves, which brought the lights to her doorstep. Firebird thinks that the lights just need to be pushed back into the right direction, gently pushing them back into space since they were lost. Sam asks the girl why she hacked into a telescope array to begin with, learning the girl's sister Inez went out for groceries months ago and never came back, leaving her all alone. She had thought that maybe she was abducted by aliens and thought that she could find her with the array. The heroes figure that she's been all alone ever since, but the girl, who reveals her name is Zoila Rodriguez, refuses to give up on her sister. Bonita tells her that she lives only 10 miles away and has a spare room, so why doesn't the young girl come and stay with her for a while? Sam and Carol also agree to put her sister's name into their databases and see if anything comes back on her, and the lights they saw might have even had a message for her. The girl thanks the heroes as Firebird takes her home, reminding herself that the desert can be a quiet and lonely place, but it always reminds her that none of them is ever truly alone.